Hello all, it's 4:33 a.m. on Friday morning. I'm still awake after work because that's what I do. I'm nuts. I don't sleep. So, this right down here is the Friday playlist for this week. 5 songs that I've been listening to over and over again this past week or so. And the first one is kind of came about because of Roger Ebert, who last weekend, after inciting the anger of Nerd Nation with his kick-ass review. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on dailyherald.com, but I just did. Then told us that video games can never be art, which I thought was a very strong statement. He's been kind of beating that drum for a while, but for him to just straight up say they can never be art is surprising, and I think really short-sighted. Do I agree with him when I say that I've never played a video game that affects me the way a great movie would? Yes, but I do think that the possibility exists. And certainly there is artistry involved in making video games, music, graphics, storytelling. A lot of the commenters against Ebert bring up, well, if we shot a film of someone playing a video game, then would that be art? And I guess under the definition that Ebert gives, it could be. It's kind of become, it's like almost 3,000 comments now on Ebert's blog, and it's kind of become a game of semantics now. Like, is it art, or is it that they can't be art, or is it that they can't be high art, whatever that means, which is, I think, something that each of us could define ourselves. And almost all these people who are railing against Ebert, who probably never even read Ebert until they heard, ooh, an old man says video games can't be art, and they went and bashed him, are saying, oh, but what about Shadow of the Colossus? That's like the greatest artistic achievement ever, and it's on PlayStation 2. Yeah, I don't think so. I got bored of this game, by the way. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, the concept is great, but it put me to sleep. Does that make me shallow? Whatever. The only game I've ever played that I think really involved me the way that a great movie might is Resident Evil 4, and that's just at a purely basic level. That game truly terrified me while I was playing it, and I couldn't put it down because I was that involved in it. But the story didn't affect me. When it was over, I didn't feel as if I had been through the ringer and my life was transformed. I was just like, okay, I finished a game. It was an exceptionally good game nonetheless. So anyway, all of that leads to the first clip on the playlist this week is a metal band called the Year 2000X, which is a Mega Man reference, for those of you who might not know that. All the Mega Man games took place in this ambiguous year of 2000X. And they play metal covers of 8-bit Nintendo songs, which is about as obscure and narrow a genre as you can come up with. So I included below them playing the opening theme from Castlevania 3, because it sounds pretty sweet. Sounds a bit like Avenged Sevenfold, actually, the way they do it. Also on the list down there, I have Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John, who was in town last week at the Sears Center. And a few days ago, I went to Best Buy and I bought it. Yes, I still buy CDs. Because I'm an insatiable collector, and B, because I need them in my car. Because if I use this in my car and I'm flipping through while I'm driving, I'm going to kill like 40 people. So I bought this CD right here, Elton John's Greatest Hits, $7.99. About the best $7.99 you could spend at a music store ever, because it's 11 tracks of pure gold. And a little bit of a musical education for you if you don't know much about Elton John, but past The Lion King anyway. Also on there this week I have a track from a band called Within Temptation, which you may have heard of in the last couple years, because they're a band from the Netherlands who do this big symphonic power metal stuff that kind of sounds like I don't know if you could say it inspired Evanescence, because I think Evanescence kind of just took a mainstream version of a whole genre. But Within Temptation and Nightwish are two of these European bands that I think you could say are the closest to what Evanescence is trying to do. And Within Temptation put out kind of their Evanescence clone album a couple years ago. But this track I've included is a much better track from one of their Dutch records. Is it over dramatic and overproduced? Yes, and that's why it's awesome. Also in there I have Black Number One from Type O Negative. Peter Steele died last week, the singer from Type O Negative. And as you'll see in this video, I think he might have been a vampire. For real. The vocal performance on that track, especially in the opening lines, is nothing short of incredible, and really terrifying stuff. The song ultimately is kind of silly, but if you crank it up loud and throw up the horns, you'll have fun. And then the last track I have on there is for something completely different. A track that I've heard plays over the end credits of Kick Bleep. I think I'm allowed to say it once. So Kick Bleep, that new movie that's out. And it's by a band called The Pretty Reckless, whose singer is Gossip Girl star Taylor Momsen, who's all of 16 years old. And in this song, sings with a voice that has much more character and maturity than I would have guessed. It's kind of a simple little song, but it shows promise for what this band might be able to do in the future if, Taylor Momsen decides to not go the Lindsay Lohan route. I hope she doesn't. Nobody needs to go that route. But whatever. So that's this week's playlist. For you Losties out there is no new Lost this week coming up on Tuesday. So I'm hoping to do this epic end of show wrap up best of Lost thing, because to do it after the show, I'm going to be too inclined to put episodes from the very end of the show on any kind of best list, and that's not really a true barometer because they're new and they're the last ones. So I'm obviously going to think they're better than they might be. At least that's a definite possibility. So I think to do it now, right before the break, during the break, right before the home stretch, is probably the best time to do it. So, Losties, you'll have a little treat on Tuesday, hopefully. Hopefully I will vomit forth all the Lost from my brain for Tuesday. So that's the playlist for this week. Please enjoy.